Hi everyone, my name is Ray, or some of you might know me as Tiki with Ray, and welcome to Tiki Mugs with Ray. I'm with my good buddy Sean here. We're in your home bar. It's not a tiki bar.
Not yet.
But there's definitely been a lot of tikiing going on in here. Do you have a name for your place yet?
No, I don't have a name for it yet. Once we can actually start getting our decorations laid down and figure out exactly what we want to do with the space, we'll come up with a name.
Yeah. And then I'll do a write-up for it on my blog.
Yeah.
Today we are going to talk. We're going to ask a hypothetical question, and you brought up the idea, and I'm like, well, damn, that's a great idea, and it's a question that I think a lot of us wonder, which is, why do we collect tiki mugs? I mean, we do, but I never really put much thought into it until you brought up that question. I'm like, all right, well, that definitely sounds like an interesting topic.
Well, definitely for some, it's because they look cool. And some of the artists out there make amazing mugs.
Yeah. So why do people collect mugs, Sean?
I think they are the easiest memento of the tiki community.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we have the big wooden tikis out there, but it's a lot easier to get a mug.
Yeah.
And, oftentimes it comes with a really tasty drink. And that doesn't hurt.
Well, it's a lot easier to bring home a mug like that's the size of like that big as opposed to bringing home a tiki.
I know, especially if it's 4 to 6 feet tall. You're not going to fly back with that if you go on a trip. But
I think that's something that sometimes people forget, that is exactly what a tiki mug was. It was a souvenir. You went to this really cool tiki place, and you bring it back as like, hey, I brought back a piece of it,
Yes, sometimes you didn't pay for it. Sometimes the restaurant probably didn't appreciate you doing it, but a lot of people did it for a long time.
Yeah.
And I think it's become a point of pride for some people, and certainly for me is to some of the big tiki events or tiki bars that I've gone to bring back their tiki mug as a memory of that night, because I will otherwise forget, but I see the mug and I start to remember the fun that I had on that night, and get me excited to go back to that location.
Yeah, the beginning of my tiki mug collection is when I lived in Pittsburgh. There was a tiki bar there called the Tiki Lounge, and they had the thing where it was like, buy the drink, you get the mug, and you get to take it home. They were accoutrement tiki mugs. There were nothing special about them, but they were cool. And it was one of those things where it wasn't it didn't have to remind me of of the trip, but it was kind of like one of those things that's like, all right, every time I'm going to the bar, I'm coming back with a mug. And I had quite a few of them. And then that's kind of like. It's kind of like how I feel about Frankie's Tiki Room. And what I love about Frankie's is that they have that. They have many different mugs that you can buy. And that's how I play it. Now, every time I go to Frankie's Tiki Room, I need to get a mug. I'm bringing home a mug with me.
Okay. Yeah.
Every time. And so, that being said, your first mug over there is your Frankie's. So is that your first and only time you ever been to Frankie's? Or?
My only time that I went to Frankie's was last year on a group trip with you and a few other people where we hit, I think at the time, every tiki bar in Las Vegas. Some amount of us throughout there. And that is my first and only time that I've been to Frankie's Tiki Room. I definitely got the mug separate from the drink. So I'd ordered a couple drinks there, but I got the mug that I appreciated the most out of the designs, because that is, it's got to be something that you want to look at and hang out with a little bit.
Yeah, well, that being said, kind of like what Frankie's and I was saying about, it's kind of like, like almost like a memory of my journey there, every trip,
Yeah. But that's how it should work from my perspective anyway, is the things that are going to be a part of my tiki world at home are going to be memories of the fun times that I had at a different tiki event, whether it was a tiki bar, a tiki convention, some of the at-home get-togethers that you get to do in different areas as you get to know people who love tiki drinks and tiki culture. And every single time, that's what I want to bring home as a memory.
So which mug here was from one of your first events that you actually went to?
So so I've been to a couple events for brief moments. I'd been to the shopping at Tiki at least once, but I was there for like 2 hours, 3 hours, and I didn't really know anything about the Tiki world that first time that I went. The very first actual Tiki event that I signed up for and I said I'm going and I'm going to be hanging out with a whole bunch of people was the Pauhana on the Haiu.
Okay.
And that's
this
mug
one
right
here. Yeah, so there was the Pauhana on the Haiu. On the Haiu was essentially it was a ferry boat.
Yep.
That was bought and turned into an event space, in theory. And the idea is that you could rent out the event space and then have whatever you want. The boat would take off from the bottom of South Lake Union, go over into Lake Washington, go around Lake Washington and come back at night. And they'd done a couple Tiki events, and they're always a great time. They're always a fun time. And they actually came up with a mug for the event.
Yeah, so the very first one they did, they released this mug.
Yep.
And
Monk Tiki.
Monk Tiki came up with it. They released it. It was $49 or $50 on the day of the event. And I was new, and I didn't know really about Tiki mugs at the time or collecting Tiki mugs. So weirdly, I did not get this one at that first event that I went
Even
to.
though you did go on,
I was there. I enjoyed that. Some of the most fun that you can have on the lakes in Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
And that very first one was, it was so crowded and so much fun.
Yeah.
Jason Alexander was behind one of the bars.
Yeah, he was.
There was
serving
a couple
his
bars
drinks
downstairs. And I realized later that I regretted not having this mug.
Yeah.
So for several years, I kind of just kept a loose eye on eBay and other things. So I eventually got hold of the mug because I did want a reminder of this event that I'd went to, and it's a bittersweet reminder for me because definitely I wish I'd picked up this mug on the day of to be able to say, this is the one that I got when I was on the boat.
Yeah.
Versus this is the mug that they released on the boat, and at least I have it now. My first actual mug was a special release at the Devil's Reef.
The Witch Doctor.
The Witch Doctor. I think this is Wicco's first mug release.
Yeah, this was their first mug. And Heather and Ken Pleasant, they actually had a mug release party at the Devil's Reef. And I remember there was a line outside the door and everything like that.
People lined up really early to get hold of this mug. And it is a beautiful mug. They went all out on the design of this mug.
Yeah, and it's based on the Witch Doctor Tiki carving that Wicco made. Kevin Fenton got number 1, and I got number 2, actually.
I got number 7.
Not bad.
I was directly behind this guy right here, and we didn't know each other at the time.
You didn't really?
No. We met later when McMenamins opened.
Really?
I came out to see the McMenamins opening with a mutual friend of ours from different sides. That's when I first really hung out with you and Jason and got to talk on Tiki.
Yeah.
But this is one of my favorite mugs of all time. I love it. Love drinking from this mug. It gets the most use of any mug that I have, and it is one of the ones that I am the most proud of, and definitely made the most effort to get hold of when it was first released. That line was kind of a fun experience to deal with.
Yeah. No, it's a cool mug. And fun fact, just so you know, the Witch Doctor in red is the first series, and then they did do a second series, and it was in blue. So just so you know.
But mug buying is expensive, and really nice mugs will go for quite a bit, especially on the new releases these days.
Yeah.
And, it's one of the reasons why I limit to events that I've been to, things that I've done so that I can remember them. I definitely want to have a mug collection, but I don't need to spend $250 for a mug just to say I have a mug.
Yeah, that's a lot of money. And the thing is, I'm looking at a couple of the mugs here from different Tiki bars that they weren't expensive.
No, almost none of these were.
We got
expensive.
Devil's Reef, Alibi, Holly Paley, right? Which one do you want to talk about first?
Well, let's start with, we were just talking about the Witch Doctor, so let's talk about the barrel mug from Devil's Reef.
Yeah.
Devil's Reef released several mugs over their years.
Yes.
Their Three Skull or Infinity Skull.
The Infinity Skull
mug.
is highly sought after.
Super expensive.
Yes, it is. I don't have one.
I do not either. Shortly after the Witch Doctor was released, Jason released the barrel at the Devil's Reef.
Mm-hmm.
And I go to the Devil's Reef fairly often. At that time, much more often, and I wanted a mug that came from there specifically, and that you could bring back and fill. And before the COVID times, definitely you could bring in your own mug to the Devil's Reef, and the bartenders there would make you a drink based on the mug that they sold. And he has a rum barrel that is very, very good, and it's a lot of fun to drink out of this mug.
Very potent.
Yeah.
I mean, I like to call the rum barrel or Jason's rum barrel a business drink, as in you're getting down to business when you're drinking that drink. We're going down to Portland now. So, do you want to go to the Alibi or do you want to go Holly Paley?
That's the question to ask when you're in Portland, isn't it? Do you want to go to the Alibi or do you want to go to the Holly Paley?
And the answer is both.
Yeah, but which do you go to first?
You go to the Alibi because they open first.
They do open first, and they're open later.
Yeah, so the Alibi opens up, I think, at 11:30 in the morning. Whereas Holly Paley opens up at like 4 o'clock.
Right. And the Alibi stays open till 2 in the morning. So
the answer is go to the Alibi, then go to Holly Paley, and then come back
to the Alibi.
To the Alibi and do karaoke.
Which means I need another mug to match this up, right? So
what is this? Oh, I have the Moai that they put out.
Yeah.
But when's this, a 75-year anniversary?
Yeah, this is the 75-year anniversary mug. I got this on a surprise trip. Friend of mine was just going down to Portland to do some shopping.
Yeah.
And the Tiki crowd around him all of a sudden said, "Oh, you're going to Portland? Let's all go down to Portland." So that was Tiki with Ray, We Shall Tiki with Jason, our friend Joel, and myself, and accompanying family. And
was that the first time you were at the Alibi?
No, I'd been at the Alibi.
Oh, okay, all right.
The first time I went to the Alibi was during TikiCon.
Yes.
The only full weekend I ever got to do at TikiCon. Yeah. I ended up at the Alibi on Friday night, looking for you.
Yeah, but you arrived early, and I got there. I mean, I got there early, but you got there late.
Yeah, I left work. You drive as fast as you can down from Tacoma to Portland. It still takes a few hours.
Yeah, several hours.
And there's only so much drinking you can do in a few hours, surprisingly. But that was my first trip. But this was my most fun trip to the Alibi. A group of friends all sitting together, enjoying the tiki drinks, and the dive bar kind of experience, tiki bar experience that the Alibi provides.
Yeah. I don't even like saying that because it's like they really did clean it
lounge. Up. It's not a dive bar in the same way. Their drinks are complex. Their bartenders are really good, but it definitely feels like a lounge.
Well, it's an older bar
more than some of the other places that feel like hidden bars in a tropic environment.
Yeah, I love the Alibi.
I love the Alibi too. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, and speaking of one of my other favorite bars is Holly Paley. And the interesting thing about that is a Holly Paley mug, right? And
yes, it is.
That's the Cannibal Trio.
Yep.
So speaking of it, the Infinity Tiki, it's like you just
keep spinning around.
Yeah, you keep on spinning around, and that's a monk tiki as well, I believe, right?
A lot of these are, but a lot of them were bought in the Washington Portland area. Monk Tiki was probably one of the biggest, earliest tiki designers in the Washington Portland area, and
I know that Holly Paley has made different glazes for that particular mug. I don't know if I have one. I might have one. I know I have a Holly Paley mug, but I don't know if I have that one or not. But it's a bitchin' mug, though.
It is, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of what Holly Paley feels like, which is that over-the-top, tropical, hidden location, and drinks are on fire when you have storms happening around you, at least in sound, and the themes that they have there, the three tikis that they have there,
Yeah.
kind of fit in. So when I got this, it's what reminds me of those times when I'm in there. And I've been to Holly Pele 4 or 5 times since I first discovered Tiki.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite places to bring people who I'm introducing to Tiki drinks to. Even if they don't get involved into the Tiki world, if we're down in Portland, Holly Pele is a great place to go and have say, these are great drinks, this is a great environment, you're going to have a fun time no matter what.
I honestly still feel well, first of all, it's one of my favorite Tiki bars, and I still think it's like one of the best Tiki bars that are out there. I mean, it's literally perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have much up here in the Pacific Northwest, but what we do, we have some really awesome bars. I mean, you got the Alibi and Holly Pele, which are the alpha and omega of Tiki bars. One, different things, different experiences, but both incredible. Yeah. We got the Devil's Reef up in Vancouver. We have the Shameful Tiki Room.
Yep, which I have not been to yet.
You still haven't been.
Which
you need to go up there
list.
so you
I'm trying to set up a trip to Vancouver so I can get to the Shameful Tiki.
Well, when are we going?
This year. We were going to do Vegas. We'll go, it's easier to do. We'll do a weekend there.
We'll set up a date.
Yeah.
You got to make it happen.
We'll do that, definitely.
But speaking of events happening up in the Pacific Northwest, TikiCon has always been the mother of all the Tiki conventions. But there was another event that was going on for a pretty decent long time, and that was the trailer park. What is it called? The trailer park bash?
Trailer bash.
Trailer bash.
So I think some people called it the Tiki Trash Trailer Bash.
Yes.
This was an event put on by Marlo and
Joe
David, and
it was out in Ocean Shores,
Long Beach, just outside of Long Beach. There's a resort location there that has a whole bunch of vintage trailers that you could rent for the weekend. And when it first started out, I didn't know it existed, but they had a small group show up and have a lot of fun, and eventually the first time I went out, that was the event that they first rented out the entire park to Trailer Bash. There was no one else there that wasn't Tiki for that weekend. And weirdly, one of the opportunities that I had to get to know a lot of the local Tiki people. I get a little antisocial sometimes, and will focus on people that I know when I go to events. Yeah. So I was going with a couple of friends of mine, and we were all coming a little bit separately, and I got there early. And you show up, and you don't know anyone at the event. And I went with the theory of, if I help everyone else set up, they'll get to know me, I'll get to know them, and we'll find out exactly how much fun I'm going to have this weekend. Yeah. And so it's raining. It's just miserable out. We're trying to put up 10 by 10 pop-ups, 10 by 20 pop-ups. We're trying to create any space that we can that is dry, because we could not use the main room of the hotel part of it. So you spent time doing that, and I got to know a lot of the local Washington Tiki community that way, which wonderful people across the board as you get to know them. I don't think there's a friendlier group. But we had a brief window the next morning where it got sunny out. Because it was Long Beach, we were really close to Astoria, which is the home of Monk Tiki. And my buddies and I went down to Astoria. We visited the Monk Tiki store. They were still building out the bar there. So they were a year and a half out, I think, at that point from the build. And the owners of Monk Tiki took us downstairs to their basement and showed us where the Tiki mugs are made. I saw some very, very expensive and famous Tiki mugs that they still hold on to. They have the Death Whistle mug. They have this big mug that is a poisonous snake. And that is where I got this mug, was from that store, and as my reminder of that first trailer bash that I went to.
So that's just like how you were saying about the memory. You didn't buy that at the trailer bash, but you bought it on that trip.
On that
Would
trip,
then it remind you of that event, though?
Absolutely. So that, I mean, that is my point, my purpose when it comes to anything that is in my tiki bar. Should be something that is an event that I went to, something I went to, a reason why I have it.
Yeah.
I want to have everything to be kind of like, oh yeah, that was a fun time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was a fun time, and inspire me to go back, because again, when you're a little antisocial, sometimes you are inclined to say, maybe I won't go do something tonight.
Yeah.
Maybe I won't go out to that event because it's been a long day and I'm tired.
Yeah.
But then I look at the mug or the piece of artwork or something else, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to have a good time because I've never had a bad time at any of these events.
Now, speaking of place, this is probably the furthest away you've traveled to get a mug. Chopper.
Chopper
in
is
Nashville.
Yep, Chopper is in Nashville, Tennessee. Tiki bar with kind of a unique theme to it. They are took the idea of what if the cargo cult type of scenario that occurred several times involved robots.
Yes.
All of their tiki mugs are a little bit robot themed. This is their Mai-Tai mug.
It's a robot tiki bar.
Robot tiki bar, and they have a ton of tiki mugs in their place. And this was actually my sister-in-law's 40th birthday party. She decided she wanted to go to Nashville, and I had to convince them. Well, my family isn't into tiki the way I am. That we had to get out of the country music section of Nashville and go find this out of the way, out of the downtown area tiki bar. And there's a couple choices. We chose Chopper. They had a very fun experience on scooters and ended up actually wiping out one of the scooters on the drive out there. But they all definitely agreed that tiki drinks are amazing. This place was really awesome. And I walked out with this one because I really wanted a memory of that weekend alongside to put up on the wall with the rest of my tiki mugs. And it is perfectly shaped for a Mai-Tai, and my Mai-Tais aren't clean looking, so this is a great mug to drink a Mai-Tai in because they don't look pretty.
Going back to Vegas, where we started.
Yeah, so we started with Frankie's Tiki Room.
And then we go to the other tiki, well, back in the day where there was only two, the Golden Tiki.
It's kind of an argument between which one you should go to or which is the better one.
Go to both.
Go to both.
Well,
definitely.
actually, now go to both. Go to Red Dwarf. Go to Straight Pirate.
There's so many.
Yeah, and you got to go to all of them.
Hunt down Billy Crud and convince him to take you out and show you the tiki community out there.
Yeah, so Billy Crud is a tiki carver,
tiki designer,
and builder of tiki bars and stuff like that too. And that's his design. It was made for the Golden Tiki. And the cool thing with Billy Crud and you're both Masons.
We're both Masons. We're both members of the Mystic Order of the. I can say this correctly. We are both members of the Prophets of the Mystic Order of the Veil Grotto.
Yes.
He actually inspired me to join that group because if you go back to Ray's video about fezzes, and he talks with Billy Crud about that, they're a group that really enjoys celebrating. He built out a tiki bar for their grotto there. And I've seen the build out of that and the finished product or semi-finished product. And
we went there. That's what you were with me when I filmed the episode over there. And when we were there, it was when I was there. They were still building it.
Yeah, it was still roughed out.
But now it's pretty much complete. And I've only seen. You said you've been back.
I went back. Got a chance to go in there and enjoy a drink in there. And he's still working about it. I don't think that place is ever going to be complete.
Well, that's any tiki bar. But I mean, for what I've seen,
well, it's the Golden Tiki isn't ever complete. They're always building out a new thing. I think the back room is going to look different here in a few months from where it looked when we were there and you got your shrunken head.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So this came from the night that you got your shrunken head.
What's cool about that mug and like the whole thing is it's like, in this case, not only does it remind you of a particular tiki bar, but to me, that mug is tied to Billy.
Absolutely.
So it's tied to him. And that's cool. You know, that a mug could be tied to a person.
it's tied to the activity, the event, the people that you're around. Going to a tiki bar by yourself, sitting in a corner, having a drink. I mean, that's just going to a bar. Going to a tiki bar with friends, or getting out there and forcing yourself to make friends, which sometimes is the hardest thing to do. But tiki bars are often the best place to do it at. That changes the entire experience. And I collect tiki mugs because I want a memory of the experiences that I had while I have been out there enjoying the tiki community.
So. And I collect tiki mugs because they're cool.
And because they are cool.
Want to support the Tiki with Ray show and look cool doing it at the same time? Then head over to tikiwithray.com and buy yourself a Tiki with Ray shirt. They're only $20. Tony Canepa did the design, and they're screen printed in America.